Earlier this year, I stopped saving money. I saw how irrelevant saving was for the first time. A lot of people talk about saving up for this, and why saving is such an important thing. But in actuality, saving is one of the worst things, in my opinion, that most people can do, especially those who want to see themselves have a prosperous financial future. Let's talk in detail about why that is in this video. Let's talk about why people save, why saving is pushed as a concept, and ultimately, what is better than saving? Because there are quite a lot of much better alternatives out there that most people can manage to wrap their heads around. So if you enjoy content like this, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. We make videos like this every single day. Liking allows me to know what you guys enjoy, and subscribing makes sure that you don't miss any future episodes. Now let's get into this. Saving is a concept that we're taught from a really young age. As children, we don't have any money of our own because we don't have a job or an income. We get pocket money if we're lucky from our parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, anything like that. We get money that we save. We then save up for something. From a really young age, this can be anything, sweets, a new phone, anything like that. And we take that money and we learn the concept of saving. We learn why saving up our money is a big thing. And as life progresses, we learn this even more. We stop saving for sweets, we start saving for clothes, then we start saving for things like electronics, phones, and then we start saving for cars. Before we know it, we're saving up for our first mortgage. And saving continues all the way until old age, where we intend to retire on our savings. The thing about that is, we're learning now how bad saving is for most people, as in 2023 inflation is meaning that people have to spend more and more money on the regular things that they could otherwise afford. And now people's savings are diminishing. The money that they put away is now what they need to live the lifestyle that they were living just 1, 2, 3 years ago. What I'm saying here is that now we're seeing how irrelevant all those years of saving have been. We're seeing stocks drop, we're seeing a lot of assets decline, and a lot of assets go up, the assets that we actually want to buy, meaning that people have less money in their savings and need more to live on. That clearly shows the problem with saving. The problem with saving is you can only save so much, and that's based on your income. If I made only £10,000 a year, what can I save? Probably not much. Even if I could save every single penny of that income, I'm only saving £10,000 a year. That's only £100,000 every single decade. Obviously not a small feat, it's going to be a great achievement, but we're talking about saving 100% of the income here, which is impossible. You got to pay tax, you got to pay to live, and that was just an example. It's clear common sense, but it outlines the point that I'm making here. The limit to saving directly is what you earn, and that partially answers the saving question as to how we solve it, but we're going to get into that in much more detail in a bit. The problem with saving here is, once we have that money, it then starts to decline even more. Let's say we use our £10,000 example. We can save up £10,000 every year. So then where do we put this? We might put it into a S&P index fund. Or if we're like most people don't even do that. Most people put it into a savings account in the bank. Now, when I was checking my savings account in the bank, a place where I store my money just to store it because I have to put it somewhere, I checked the interest rate on this. Now, like I say, I don't save money, so I'm not that bothered by it, but the interest rate on my bank was 0.2%. You need to understand how insane that is. I could have in £1 million, and I would still barely make enough money on interest to live a normal person's life. And when we actually talk about real terms interest, I'd lose money every single year. Most people are coming to terms with what inflation means. When inflation goes up, we have less money in real terms to spend. The value of our money decreases. So if I have a 0.2% interest rate like I do, and inflation at the minute is what, 5, 6, 7%, I'm not making a penny. I'm actually losing money every single year just by having my money sat in savings. So when we outline that, we can see that saving isn't really something that works in its outright form. Saving is something that may have worked in the past, but with the competitive financial environment that we have right now, with mortgages, finance, stocks, all of these different options, saving makes less sense than ever. And even for the people who say, well, I want a risk-free investment, and saving allows me to do that because I don't have to risk anything, I always know where my money is. I'd agree with that. But when we're talking about smart financial decisions, and of course I am not a financial advisor, this is just my opinion. When we're talking about smart financial decisions, is it a smart decision to put your hard-earned money into somewhere where it loses 3, 4, 5% of its value every year? If you ask me, that sounds really, really stupid. Especially when we talk about saving for retirement, like what, 50, 60 years? How much is that money going to get devalued if we just leave it in a bank? We've all seen the example of compound interest and how putting our money into an S&P fund for the next 50, 60, 70 years could make us a couple million versus putting it into savings. And you see what I'm saying? So if that's the problem with saving, if saving is something that doesn't really work, why is saving pushed? Why are we told to save? Why is saving something that's instilled in our society? Well, the obvious reason goes back to human nature, but there's also a different reason on top of that. But the clear reason for saving makes legitimate sense. Saving allows you to have something for a time that you would not. Yes, you might lose a bit in the short term, but I'd like to know for certain that I have £10,000 in the bank that I can rely on today, tomorrow, next week if I need to. That's always a nice feeling. So it makes sense that you would save your money because no one wants to live without anything. And by all means, that's not what I'm saying. So as a concept, saving is instilled in people because it allows you to have something which is obviously better than nothing. But if you ask me, there's oftentimes a lot more of a sinister reason why saving is instilled in our society. And there's two reasons for this. The first one is, when we talk about savings and savings account, think about what a savings account is. It's an account in the bank. It's common knowledge that banks use our money for the most part to leverage their positions. So whilst you might be making 0.2% on your returns, think about all of the money that the bank is making by loaning your money out for mortgages, by investing your money into hedge funds, stocks, index funds, crypto, hedging the markets, all these different things. This is where the bank makes its money, and that's why bankers are millionaires and banks are worth billions, and you are not. They take your money and do stuff with it that you could be doing. And that's why they want you to save, if you think about it. They can do it for you. The average person doesn't really want to learn about finance. It's not something that they can't learn about, but they don't want to. So the bank comes along and says, hey, we can take this all off your hands, all for a small fee. You feel like you're being rewarded because you get better than 0% interest, and they just take all of the profits. It's genius, but you see where the problem with this is. It's a one-sided relationship which really benefits one party and hurts the other one. And then we talk about the other side of saving. The thing about saving is it always leaves us with a limited amount of money. Yes, we might have something, we might even have a lot, but when we save the money that we earn, we probably don't save very much because we can't save 100%. And the average salary here in the UK is what, between 24,000 and 36, I think it is. So what do most people save? If we say 10%, that's still not a lot of money. So what do you do when you don't have that much money and you need to buy stuff? You take out loans. We've seen this for years, arguably even since the 2008 financial crash, where we've seen debt climb, all sorts of debt, student loans, mortgages, car finance, mobile phone contracts. These are all forms of debt. And this is because people either get a better deal or they can't afford to buy the asset outright. And this is becoming more and more common. A smartphone like that iPhone costs £1,500 now, I believe it is, or something like that. A car that's pretty standard, like a BMW 3 Series diesel, is going to set you back at least £30,000. And in terms of houses, at least here in the UK, let's not even get into that topic. 200-300k easily? Who's got this money? I certainly don't. I wish that I did, but I don't. Now, for people like me, it's fairly easy. I don't really see the importance of having these things. If I need something, I'm going to buy it. If I can't afford it, I'll have to finance it. But people want the lifestyle now. And that's the problem with saving. You don't have the money to buy things outright. So people get into these attractive contracts where they finance the car, mortgage the house, take the phone on a contract, which helps big companies to make even more money. Because whether we're talking mortgage rates or credit cards, there's always a sweet amount of interest that the people who are loaning the money out to you get. It makes sense because they are risking their capital, but you get the point. It makes sense for you to not have money to big business because they can then leverage their assets to make more off you, charging you more over the long run. And unfortunately for most people, if we take the principle of saving, they're never going to be able to break out of that cycle, because they will never be able to save enough money to buy these assets outright. And even if they could, it'd be such a considerable chunk, it wouldn't proportionally make sense. Like, if your salary was 30,000 and the car that you want to buy is 40,000, you're not going to spend a year and a quarter's salary to buy a car. It just doesn't make sense. So why not finance it? Because you can't afford it. This is a problem with saving. You're always limited, and you're always playing in somebody else's court. You're always playing somebody else's game with somebody else's rules, making them richer whilst making yourself poorer. What I'm saying here is the concept of saving isn't working for most people anymore. The interest is too high. The cost of things is too high. People can't afford to buy things outright. And this might sound like a very pessimistic tone to take, but there is a solution. How do we get out of this? The first step is, of course, to acknowledge that saving is not going to help us in the long run. We can save our way to riches if we're very careful and earn enough money, but for most people it's not going to be likely. Think about how much you save every year. You know, if it's less than 10,000 a year, you're saving away less than 100k a decade. So if you were to save for 7 decades, which is just under the average working age which most people retire at, so it's already a large amount of your life, you will probably not even, well, you wouldn't even have £1 million in savings or dollars. So at that point, it's very obvious things aren't going to work with saving. How do we then change this? There's a few ways that we could go about this, but the answer is to start investing and not saving. Now, the word investing is something which people take a lot of caution around. It's a risky word. It's something which is going to take a lot of challenges. And especially when we look at the stock market now, people are anticipating crashes. People are saying, it's a bubble. Are we going to burst? What happens next? Well, that's the thing. There's lots of different investments and people forget this all the time. Investing doesn't need to be a scary world. If we go back to the whole concept of why this is, it's that somebody else can manage the money for you. But if you take things into your own hand and actually take some time to research into what this means and what this actually looks like, what investing is, you'll see you've probably invested in some way in the past before, whether it's buying a classic thing that you want that's gone up in value. There's loads of different ways to invest, and these ways are all going to help you to make more money than the conventional stream. I was having this conversation with a friend the other day who was telling me about the fact that, oh, the cost of everything's so high, I can't afford to go out and do this and do all the stuff that I could previously. And I'm like, so what's the problem? It's like, well, the cost needs to come down. I'm never going to deny that. I, of course, agree with that. But we are where we are, sadly. The question is then, what do we do? It's not about saving up. It's not about reducing our costs. It's about earning more. Once we earn more, we can spend more. The sad truth is it doesn't look like the cost of things is coming down anytime soon. So the only solution is to earn more money to be on the level to buy stuff that we want. It is a shame that we've had to come to this point. And again, when we look back to the 1970s, 80s, 60s, and even the 90s really, people had one job and that was enough to take their family on holiday, have 1-2 cars in the driveway, have a decent house that was probably theirs. Those times are sadly gone for most people. So we have to adopt the modern philosophy. The big way that I see people fail, and the big way that I see people talk about making extra money, is picking up another job. And I sit there and I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. Of course you can do that if you wish and if you really think you've got no other skills, but you're watching a video here about finance and improving yourself. If that's the case, you have some knowledge, you understand the importance of doing this, and I understand that you are probably a very clever person. With that being said, why is there not anything better than you can do than get a minimum wage job? Again, we then leave ourselves in the same situation, just a couple of £100 richer. £10 an hour, $10 an hour, $15 an hour isn't going to cut it. It's not going to suddenly make us rich. So what do we need to do? We need to create workflows that are easier than work and make more money. I'm not saying that anybody should quit their job, but we can make more money than our job. Maybe it might be a bit more unstable, but we can do that starting out with less money and get better overall results. This will go into a bonus from what we already earn and put us in a better position in the future. We can then take that money, not directly save it, but invest it to make even bigger profits. I know it's becoming a huge cliche here on the internet, but what you have to do is make your time and money work for you. Most people work for their time and they work for their money. They work for their time by working 5 days a week in the hope of getting 2 days off. They work for their money, obviously, by going to work. But think about this in the inverse. If you make your time work for you, you make sure that every hour that you spend is doing something that's going to benefit you and it's going to help you in the long run. If you make your money work for you, you probably don't go to work or do much work, and the money basically earns itself through investments in some form. I know it's one of the earliest things that I documented here on this channel, so I want to discuss it again. I started my watch shop earlier this year. I was making quite a lot of money, hundreds of pounds a day, and this was not hard. A reselling business is so easy, it's something that almost anybody can do. If you wanted to get into that industry, it would probably take you an extra 1, 2, 3 hours every single day, but you'd earn probably a lot of money if you implemented all of the steps correctly. Then we can talk about things like trading the stock market. Yes, it takes its risk, and yes, it's going to take you a while to learn it thoroughly. But this is another industry with the right leverage, with the right risk to reward ratios, you could easily earn an extra couple of hundred a week, a month, a year, depending on how much money you have in at the first place. What I'm saying is, with the right opportunities, you can make money in easier ways. Like I said, it took me an hour or 2 or 3 a day to run my watch shop. When it comes to trading, it takes an hour of research per trade roughly, maybe 2, and then I can make realistically unlimited profits. Unlike work, I am not stuck to one set goal. I'm not stuck to one set time frame. I work as much as I want on these projects and I earn as much as I can on these projects. And this is what putting your money to work looks like. When you put your money to work, you get better long-term results. Yes, you do have to endure more risk. Yes, you do have to endure more challenges. But what do you want? Do you want to get to that end goal or not? Because it does appear that the walls are closing in. And saving seems, in my opinion at least, less sensible than it ever has before. Your money goes down in value, you earn less interest, and everything's just getting more expensive. So what do? You would have to look into earning extra streams of income. And this is something that I talked about in my extra stream of income video that I published about 3 or 4 days ago. And I want to talk about this in extensive detail like I have in this video in another episode. But it's really easy to start setting out extra streams of income. It allows you to earn back your time as well as your money. As I said, I wouldn't recommend that anybody looks into their side hustle as an overall motive to quit their job in the beginning, but I would look at it as something which we take 100% seriously, as a hope to earn a lot more money. We can just lay out an hour or 2 a day trying different business ideas, writing them out, mapping them down. Yes, most of them will fail, but as I always say here on this channel, we're not trying to hit immediate success. The people who hit immediate success often lose what they've earned because they've not had the challenges and the struggles. It's the people who have struggled, the people who have actually learnt the lessons who do well. So what I'm saying is, what we need to acknowledge is, yes, it's going to be hard, but every single failure increases our likelihood of success because we've exhausted one avenue. Once we get one extra stream of income going, even if it's making only a couple of hundred a week, a month, a year, we're on the road and the ball is now rolling. Now we can take that business, make it as easy to run as possible, and there's many ways that we can do that through automation, through making processes more simple, or through getting somebody else to just fully run the business. We take that stream of income, we put it to the side, we focus on it as little as possible but continue to make the money, and then we start another one. Before long we could have what, 2 streams, 3 streams, 5 streams, 10 streams of income? Think about that as well, in relation and juxtaposition to a job. A job is one stream of income. Yes, it's reliable, but what happens if you quit? What happens if you get sick of it? What happens if you get fired or made redundant, as we're seeing a lot with the recessions on at the minute? That's a big challenge. Whereas with streams of income, multiple, we don't have that problem. If I have a business that sells watches, like I do, and I have another business of mine that I trade stocks in, which I'm trying to start up, these are 2 completely unrelated fields. When the stock market isn't doing very well, that's not necessarily going to indicate how well my watch shop could do. It's in a completely different industry. If I had another stream of income selling clothes like I'm trying to start up, same thing. Now I've got 3 streams of income that I don't have to worry about. And minus the reliability and the options and the opportunities it brings, think about what that does to our savings. We can now save more because we earn more. Unfortunately, the maximum amount that you can save is what you make, but if we make more, we can save more. Then with that saving, we take that money and make it work for us again. We think about the next thing that we can roll that into. It might be another business if we're in the market for entrepreneurship, or it might be something easy. It might just be putting that money away into an S&P 500 fund or an index fund of some sort and just leaving it there for the next 5-10 years. There's no problem with that. That might be just what you want. But this is how we get ourselves out of the sort of trap that we are in at the moment. We're told all of the wrong things, and it benefits all of the wrong people. The average person trying to get by these days works pretty hard. 30 hours a week, 35 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to lose. So if you are investing that time, if I was investing that time, I'd want to make sure it's going to a good purpose. I'd want to make sure I'm doing myself right at the end of the day as well as everybody else. And the best way that I can do this is acknowledging where my money is, acknowledging who benefits from my money, and acknowledging what I can do to better take advantage of my own opportunities. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful to some of you. I hope it was as extensive as I felt it was. This is a topic that I've been wanting to go over for quite some time, but I didn't really know how I wanted to kind of make this video. I didn't know what form I wanted to do it in. I didn't really know what I wanted to discuss. I think it came out really okay though, and I think I did actually get out all of the points I want. If you want to see more videos on what I would do to kind of go against saving and how I would try grow my money, I can make a series completely dedicated to that. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and I am very much enjoying filming them. Sadly though, we are back in the studio because we are not filming on the hill anymore, and there's one unfortunate reason for that, and I'm going to show it you right now. When we look over here, look at this crack. You can see my cat wallpaper's there, but look at the cracks on this. This dropped on the ground in the worst way possible, face down, and both the camera and the fingerprint sensor have cracked. With the crack on the camera, all I see is basically white shards. You can't see anything, it's just blur. So I'm waiting to get a new phone. Obviously I'm filming on my other phone at the moment, which I could in theory take out, but I'm not going to do that for filming the videos. Long story. Anyway, I'm going to get back to that soon because I know that you guys do love the videos on the hill. The message for this video was intended to be a really positive one. I hope you guys did take it the right way. All I'm saying here is if you want to save, save. But understand that for most people it's not the sensible decision. You're not making money, you're losing it every single year through interest. And there's people who are making money on your money, and those people are not you. As I learnt from the age of realistically 17, there's people out there who manage our money in our funds, in our savings accounts, in whatever we invest in. People do this for us. But why don't we just wake up and take this opportunity for ourselves? It's quite a complex issue, and that's why a lot of people just get too scared to ever enter it. But I wanted to outline it so that you guys know. If you did enjoy this video and if you've watched until this point, thank you so much. You are a true fan, and I hope you join us in our next one. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you there soon.